And the article of impeachment set to go before the House would charge the president with incitement of insurrection, accusing him of willfully inciting violence against the government of the United States. I want to bring in constitutional law professor Deborah Pearlstein for more on this. Deborah, thanks for being here. How strong do you think the case is against the president?
Good morning. I think the case is very strong, and it's strong in several different terms. It's strong in constitutional terms. The Constitution says a president can be impeached for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. This is a charge that has never been brought before. It's historically unprecedented, the charge of incitement to insurrection. But it is squarely within the idea of offenses against the integrity of the government, offenses like treason and bribery that are specifically cited. So I think it's got very firm constitutional basis. I think it'd be very hard to contest it on that grounds. But more than that, it already has 210, last I checked, co-sponsors in the House. That's an extraordinary degree of support for a measure to come up this quickly or indeed at all.
And Deborah, how much is that speech that the president gave at the rally before the siege happened going to play into this?
I think it's going to play in significantly, but I think that's not the only element. The brief article of impeachment that the House drafters have composed feature that speech centrally and the president's role in inciting violence, but it also mentions the ongoing false claims of election fraud that led to that speech and that were reiterated in that speech. And it mentions briefly the president's call, or now calls, to Georgia that we learned of just before all of these events, in which the president was clearly attempting to interfere with or engage somehow and pressure Georgia officials to change the results in that state. So it alleges to some extent a string of events, but it features centrally the immediate events surrounding the attack on the Capitol.
And could they pursue impeachment even after the president leaves office, whether that happens naturally over, the normal course of the rest of his term, or if he does step down or is otherwise removed?
They can, and I think that seems most likely. That is to say, I think at the moment it seems most likely that they'll succeed in getting the impeachment in the House concluded before the president moves. It's a much greater question about how quickly the Senate would be willing to move toward conviction. But there is ample historical precedent for pursuing those charges and conviction in the Senate, even after the accused officer of the government has left office. And indeed, it would have to be that way. Otherwise, public officials could engage in impeachable offenses in their last days in office with impunity. The critical reason why one will continue with an impeachment and conviction after an official leaves office is not to remove them, but to do the second thing that impeachment enables in conviction, and that is to bar them from ever holding public office again.
And Speaker Pelosi also suggested the House could take action against Republican lawmakers who they say helped incite this riot. What would that look like?
So the House actually has a range of options that it could pursue, from expulsion at the extreme end of members. That's only happened 5 times in U.S. history, but it has been used before, to measures like censure or reprimand. Those are formal votes. They require just a majority of members of the House. And typically with a measure like censure, a statement of the conduct that the member being censured has committed. Now, traditionally, that's been conduct like criminal conduct, fraudulent conduct, bribery, and other sort of violations of their own office. But it's also included disorderly conduct that's sort of unbecoming to the House. And depending on what's charged against the individual member and what's been reported in the media, I could see some of those being relevant in the House today.
And Deborah, I know you don't have a crystal ball, so I won't hold you to this, but just based on your legal expertise, how do you expect this to play out?
What I expect, and again, with the caveat you just made, is that the House will move forward with impeachment this week, and that it is likely that the House will delay transmitting the article of impeachment to the Senate until it receives either some assurance from the Senate Majority Leader, still Mitch McConnell, that it will be acted on before the president leaves office, or in the absence of that, will delay sometime after the new Senate and the new president, President-elect Biden, one is installed in office. As for censure and other measures, I think it's possible, but I think there's more debate to be had there. I certainly wouldn't rule it out.
All right, Deborah Pearlstein, always great to have you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.